Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Polydori Necropunk. And Polydori Necropunk has this question. How long does it take for a person's spirit to cross over into the other world after they have died? And part two of the question, how long should you wait before attempting to have communication with the spirit of a person who has died? And my answer to the first part of this question, how long does it take to cross over, is that it's very individual. In my experience, in some cases the spirit crosses over immediately. However, these are the minority. But you will find that sometimes that spirit has completely crossed over right away. At the other extreme, the spirit can be caught between the worlds and be held back by fear, emotion, doubt, unfinished business, etc., and be caught in that situation for anywhere from many years to generations, and eventually cross only with help from others. But most fall in between this, and in my experience, usually it takes about 6 months to a year before the spirit is fully established in the other world, and this is a time of healing, a time of rejuvenation, and this is basically a time when they're getting used to their existence in the spirit world, which can be quite different from our existence here. Now, how soon should you attempt to contact someone who has crossed over? I was taught that you should wait basically a year and regard this as a period of mourning, and that after a year you should celebrate the person's ancestor feast and see if you can begin your relationship with them as an ancestor, assuming that is the nature of the relationship. But that you should wait that year for two reasons. One, to allow them to become situated in the other world, and two, to make sure that you have adjusted to their crossing as well. And that by waiting this period of time, you will have a much more constructive relationship with the ancestor in terms of how it affects you and how it affects them. Now, it's important to say that in answering that question, I'm talking about when you should try to contact them. If they try to contact you before that year has passed, that's a whole other matter. But I was taught that you should wait a year, basically before trying to establish an ancestor sort of relationship. That doesn't mean that you can't talk to the spirit and say, I loved you very much, I'm sorry that you're gone, I hope that you're happy where you are. That's not the same thing as having a messaging type of relationship. And that's what I'm talking about, where you not only talk to them, but they speak back to you, and you have a full-blown ancestor relationship. And for that, again, I was taught to wait a year. And that this is not only because they need time to become adjusted to where they are, but it also helps us to adjust to life here without them. And this allows us to come back together on a stronger footing. However, again, sometimes they will contact us much sooner, in which case it's an entirely different situation. So those would be my thoughts on that. I hope you find them helpful, and until next time, may you blessed be. Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you for Pagans Tonight Radio. Pagans Tonight Radio is an online radio network with different hosts and different shows 7 nights a week. There's something for every taste, including Spanish language programming on Saturday evening. Check out paganstonight.com today.